Okay, you guys asked for it. I finally got it all together. It is time for us to go over all of my favorite cool toned blush finds. I have everything from purples to pinks to sort of berries and in between. And all of these are going to work for cool toned skin, fair skin. Some of them are a little on the darker side, but they'll work if you share them out, right? Okay, so huge long list of things to get through. I mean, yeah, I started this video out by going to Sephora and going to Ulta and trying to find just how many cool, actually cool toned blushes that I could find in store. And as you can see, it was a challenge. So I know you guys have the same challenge that I do. And you've probably been through this where you go and it says this is pinks, these are mauves and berries and cool tones, and you go and you swatch it and you look at it on your hand and you're like, no. The closest that I can get is you can see there's like the Dior. Some of the ones do have that very cool bubblegum pink now. I'm not really inclined to wear that color all that much. I think it looks unnatural enough on my skin tone that it looks a little silly, but I do like it to like zhuzh up or change other like too warm tones that I already have, like other blushes that have too warm tones. Sometimes I do like to use that to sort of cool it down, something like that. But I don't want to pay Dior prices just for that color. So there are plenty of options that I have found that give you that same kind of color without the Sephora prices. Let's go ahead and get into all of my favorite cool toned blushes for fair skin or even not fair skin. These are just great cool tone blushes that are going to work for you. All right, let's go. I'm going to start with something that I just forgot to do the video for this because all of these are going to have like a little insert video showing me putting it on so that you can see how it looks on the cheek. I'm very specifically doing this because I'm sure you guys have run into this before. When you swatch this on your hand, when you swatch this at the store, when you look online and you look at the color, that's not how it shows up on your cheek. It is so frustrating. So I find that they all read just a little bit warmer on my cheeks. Now, maybe this doesn't happen to you guys, but for full disclosure, I wanted to show not only how these things swatch, but exactly how they look on the cheek on top of, white foundation, powder, and makeup. So you get a really good idea of how these perform in all of the possible situations. Okay, enough about that. This one I forgot to do, so we're gonna do it now, and it's actually one of my favorites. The reason I forgot is because I didn't have it in my little baskets. I had it over here because I've been using it a lot. This is from Kaida Beauty. I found these guys on Amazon. Some of their stuff is really good, some of their stuff it's all right. This is a really, really good one. This is kind of your typical sponge tip applicator. This one's very, very cool tone and it's got a sheen. This is like what I wanted from Charlotte Tilbury when she was making her little glow wands. Look at how cool that is. It truly is a very, very purpley and almost, it's got like a little bit of this gold tone in it, but it's also got a little bit of a silver. It's got a lot of sheen. This one I really, really like because you can sheer it out. And I am going to, hold on, let me get a new, I went through and did all of these on my cheeks today, and my cheeks are very sore and all of my brushes are dirty now. So this one's relatively not dirty. So this one will sheer out, or you could put it on full. So I left it there for a minute so you can see that it kind of started to stain a little bit. I would work fast with these, but I am going to use this right on here. It's because it's got that sheen. I'm almost going to use it as a highlighter, but it's got a little more color than that. All right. I really appreciate that if you don't let it sit there too long like I did on my hand, it actually works out really, really nicely. It It really spreads easily. It doesn't get patchy on you. If you let it sit too long, it does. But you know, that's true pretty much of any of these. So I wouldn't say that this one's particularly bad or good. It's pretty normal, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and work that in. And yeah, look at that. Just leaves you with this beautiful, very cool toned finish. I'm gonna go ahead and finish that. And the nice thing is you can get this through Amazon very, very cheap, but actually gives you a pretty hard to find tone color that you are looking for. And it is one of the only ones that actually leaves such a sort of sheen on it. You could totally build this up if you really wanted to go for it, or if you're a darker skin tone than me. But if you're light, this also will work for you. It's kind of hard with some of the ones like the Rare Beauty blushes and some of the other ones, Juvia's Places like this too. They're so pigmented that if you are fair like me, I almost can't use it. Even a dot is just clown cheeks for me. So I tend to stay away from those. So anyway, this one's really good for either use. You know, you can build it up or you can shear it out. I think this is gorgeous. Okay, I found this on Amazon and I've had my eye on it for a while, and it's got actually 3 tones in it, but they're all fairly cool. With the exception of somewhere in here, you almost start getting something that is neutral to just a tad bit of a warm pink. But honestly, it doesn't really read that way on your face. And you'll see, I try putting this darkest one on first. It's so like way over in the corner. I find that this is almost like an undertone, and then these you really want to use as a little bit brighter, but still in the cooler kind of tones. So this one is a great find. I think it's in the $20 range. It's just a nice sort of standard but cool toned option powder blush. So this is a great find. You can find this on Amazon. Next, I have this About Tone. It's a liquid blush. I actually really like this formula a lot. I love it's super easy to work with. It really shears out. It's got a little bit of a highlighter in it, and you can definitely build it up if you want to. But what I really like is it has this like very almost very light gel consistency. I mean, even that's not right. Basically, it goes from liquid to powder, and that means it blends out and dries onto your face, not patchy. Really beautiful. This is one of my favorite new finds. This is their most purple one, which is still a bit on the warmer purple, but it's purple. I also have a pink one, which I think I wear more, that is very similar to this, but we'll get to that later. This is also on Amazon and also very affordable. As liquid blushes go, this is one of my favorite formulas. I actually really like this, and I'm probably going to look at picking up some other ones from this About Tone. These are really nice. Very different from anything else I've tried. This is actually one I was very surprised to find. It was from Ulta, and I am not used to finding an actual cool toned liquid blush from a big brand like Tarte. This one actually is, and it is definitely more pigmented, but you can really sheer it out. I actually really like the formula on this one. It's not as amazing to work with as the one that I just tried, but it's still really good. It has a little bit of sheen as well, and if you really work this one out, you can really sheer it out, but it does have more pigment, so you're going to be starting with more pigment from the get-go. So, I mean, you get a huge thing of it. I doubt I can actually ever go through this whole thing before it goes bad, but really like this formula. It's one of those ones that is not talked about a whole lot, but turns out, I mean, this is a really nice blush. I prefer this one to things like the, you know, Rare Beauty and like the latest e.l.f. liquid blushes. They're just too pigmented for me to use. This is sort of in between. It's medium. It shears out really well, and it's got just a little bit of sheen, which makes it really pretty and wearable. Okay. Next, let's talk about 2 purples that are so light that they're basically highlighters. I'm going to start with, this is a very classic one. I've had this for years. I've panned this one, and this is probably my second or third one that I've had throughout the years. It's the Hourglass Mood one, and it is really, really like, if you just want something with a little bit, I mean like the tiniest bit of cool color, this one totally works. It's a really nice formula. They have such a nice fine grain to it that it's not like a shocking highlighter. It's not like you have, big bright texture catching, particles in it or anything like that. Sometimes this is just what you want, and it's just a little bit of something. You can use it to cool down. Say you're a little ruddy that day, which that definitely happens to me. I spent all this time trying all of these different blushes on, and my poor face got so red because you gotta rub them off and then you gotta reapply and have the same base for everything. So something like this, when my cheeks are just a little too red, you can use this to kind of bring that down. They're expensive, but this is gonna last you forever. It's a huge pan, and Hourglass just really does this kind of cheek product really, really well. They're kind of known for it because, I mean, it's a really nice formula. This one's definitely cool toned and one of my favorites. Highly recommend this one. Now, kind of the polar opposite of that. This one I got from AOA. Really, really cheap. I think it was like $1.88, something like that. But I was looking for something purple, and this one is truly purple. Now, it is very, very shiny, obviously, and this is more like you are going out and it might be dark out. You might be just like, you're going for a look and you want it to be super cool and also like sparkly and a big icy ice fairy kind of look. This is there for that. I use this sparingly every once in a while to also cool down other looks, or if I'm wearing a fairly purple, blue, silver look and I want just a little touch of something on the top, usually right here, to cool down whatever else I have on my face, just to like remind the eye that the whole look is supposed to be super cool. So you just want to catch a little bit of that sparkle. I'm not going to use a ton of this, but if you are looking for your highlight that is ultra cool and purple, here it is for like $1.88. So it's kind of a nice thing just to have in your back pocket. I always like to collect things that you can use to sort of alter other things that are too warm or too cool. So this is one of those things that I think really works well for that. All right, now this one has been an absolute favorite of mine for years. It was one of the first like mainstream big luxury makeup brands that I found that had a cool, like a fairly cool toned purplish blush. This is NARS Sin, and it's funny, I always point people to this whenever they're looking for something like that. Now it's really sort of more plummy purple, but it has that NARS formula where you can go very, very sheer. It's got a little tiny bit of sheen to it, or you can really build it up if you wanted to. And this one is great for so many looks. This was my purple blush for the longest time before I found so many other ones. And frankly, before people were making purple blushes very much. Thank goodness there are so many to choose from now, especially if you look online. A lot of the Korean brands, they all have a purple one. And I'm not including a lot of those because literally if you just search purple blush on Amazon, you're going to come up with a whole bunch of them. I have a whole bunch of them. They're all the same. I'm going to be super honest with you. Like, pick any one of those. They're all going to be this light sort of dusty purple on your face, and they're all kind of the same. Anyway, I digress. This one from NARS is definitely one of my absolute favorites, has been for years. I still use this all the time. It is a great plummy, cooler purple. Okay, now very similar is this Armani blush. This one is a little more balmy. So I first started trying to put it on with a brush because I'd forgotten that this one is balmy. This one's really, I think, more made to be put on with your fingers. You definitely get a lot more color with your fingers, which actually for me is a little too much because I am so fair. But this one is gorgeous if you really are looking for something. Like if you have a darker skin tone than me, this is great. But even if you don't, if you're like me, you can just use a brush with it and you'll get a much lighter application. So This is a really, really nice formula. It's very smooth, kind of expensive for what you get, but it is really, really nice. I don't use it that much, mostly because it is on the darker side and I kind of forgot that I had it, but I think I'll be pulling this one out more. I really do like this. It's nice. And it is truly purple. All right, moving on. This was actually an Ipsy find, although you don't have to go to Ipsy to get it. This is the iconic London Berry Boom. It's a sheer blush. When I ordered it, I was a little worried that it was going to be too brown. It is not. It truly is a very dark, sort of muddy purple, which I love. And you don't want to use this much. I mean, you don't need much. Again, it's one of those very highly pigmented ones. The difference with this that makes it one of my favorites is that it does really sheer out if you're very, very careful with it. So, I mean, that's how I would actually use it. You cannot possibly use this much of it. I almost use this because of that color. This is almost a contour for me. So if I do use this, the way I use it is in that contour line for me, and then I'll put something lighter on top. But it's really nice to have this very, very cool toned, but just with a little bit of color. You know, it's not brown. It definitely has a little bit of purple to it, but you can still use it to sort of put that shadow underneath here, and then you can put something a little brighter on top to make your cheek pop. Really, really nice formula. I wish that they had other colors that I was personally interested in, because I like the formula so much that I went and checked, and I was just like, all of the other colors to me were a little too peachy, a little too pink, but not like a peachy pink, or just not things that I was terribly interested in. So this one, Berry Boom, I think is one of those little sneakers that I've never seen anybody else mention it, and it could be that, you know, a lot of the stores don't actually carry this one. You just have to get it online. So I have found that a lot of times the really typical colors, you're gonna see those, you know, at Sephora or Ulta or wherever, but some of the colors that we might be interested in, if we're looking for cool tone stuff, it's online only. So I don't know if that's the case with this. I don't want to say that, but I swear I've gone to go look at these in store and I never saw this one. So it could just be my Sephora. It's a small Sephora, so that could be it. Anyway, really, really like this. I think it's a really nice option. Now, I love a good blush stick. They're nice, they're easy. As long as they're not too dry, they're really nice to work with. This is very economical. It's the brand Focaler, and I got these on Amazon. I like a lot of their stuff, but not all of their stuff. But I will say that their cheek products actually are pretty good. And this one is just a nice, medium, cool sort of purple. Really easy to work with, really nice. I've had this stick for a long time. It has not dried out. Look at how it's still super balmy and easy to move around. It shears out really, really nicely. Some people complain that they don't get enough color from these. That's never going to be my complaint. I actually prefer blushes that sheer out to almost nothing. It gives me that option of having it look okay on my skin. You know, a tint is always going to look better on me, because otherwise I look like clown cheeks. So anyway, this is a true cool purple, looks great, great price, and easy to find on Amazon. So definitely highly recommend this. Now for the final purples, I have two more stick blushes, and one of them is really more of a berry. But we'll start with the purple. This is one of my oldest picks. One of my favorite companies. They are actually local here to Seattle, Julep. And this was one of my first real cool toned purple stick blushes that I was able to find online. This thing is years old, so you're gonna see that the packaging looks different now. It's because this is really old. It has not dried out, and it is ultra balmy. It has a little bit of a sheen to it. Well, actually, yeah, it has quite a bit of a sheen. And look at how just amazingly that spreads out. This is another one where you can shear it out to almost nothing, or you can build it up. I'm always going to recommend those. I love those. So this thing, I want to say this is probably somewhere between 7 and 10 years old. Thing still performs. Probably shouldn't put it on my face, but it still performs just like it did when I got it. So, I mean, just really emollient, really nice formulas, good prices, very economical. You find these on Amazon, so really easy to get. I'm really happy with the Julep products. They tend to be very emollient in general, so they're never really dry out or get patchy or hard to work with, or you gotta like scrub them in. Almost all of their products are like this, and I don't know what their base is that they use, but it's really, really nice, and it's never given my skin any trouble, so I definitely highly recommend kind of anything from these guys. This one I believe is called Vintage Mauve, but I'll put it up. So highly recommend this if you've never used a stick sort of blush before and you just want something that's really easy to work with. This is a really nice formula for that. So love this one. This is the OG for me. And finally, I just mentioned this in my fave new finds. This is from Pure, and this is one of their new stick colors. This one is more of a medium berry. Sorry, I'm looking for something to wipe my hand off so you can see it. This one is definitely more neutral, but this is super wearable. We're moving into the pinks, and this is definitely, it reads pretty cool when you wear it to neutral. It's very flattering, it's very easy to wear, it's really, really pretty. And this is another one, the reason that I got it is because in store, you see how it shears out? It just, that looks very natural. And you know, sometimes with the ultra cool tone stuff, like a lot of the stuff I have on right now, it doesn't necessarily look natural. What looks more natural when you flush is this sort of maybe neutral pinky kind of color. That's really what color is, you know. Whenever we've got the smack bottom cheeks and our natural color comes out, it's going to be something a little more like this, right? So something like this goes with cool tones, it looks great, it's not too much, and it's very flattering. So as we move into the pinks, you're going to see more of these. They're cool toned in, you know, compared to a lot of stuff, but they're really almost more in the neutral category, at least in my opinion. Anyway, this is a brand new one from Pure. Really happy with it. Nice formula, great sheer out, and very, very buildable. What's not to like? So definitely recommend this. Time to move into the pinks. These I actually tend to wear the most. They are cooler toned pinks to neutral pinks that really, they look good with my skin tone. So if you're similar to me, these are really going to work for you. So let's just go ahead and get it. I went ahead and zhuzhed my cheeks with one of my new favorite finds. It's back to that About Tone brand, and this one is their, oh boy, I'll have to look it up, I can't read it, it's too small, but it's like their lightest, like, it looks like a very cool toned pink online. I'd say it's more of a medium pink, but it's not too warm on the face. As you can see, I'm wearing it right now. I'm not going to go on about it too much because you can see me putting it on, and I already talked about this formula. I love this formula. This is very different from anything else that I have, and I kind of want them all to work like this because it is so easy to work with and it feels so cool on the face. Like, I love the little transformation that it makes. It goes from a really nice slippy silicone-y kind of formula to this beautiful soft fine powder sort of feel. It's weird, it's magic, I don't know how they do it, but this is a really gorgeous one, and as you can see, this is definitely one of my favorite ones that I like to wear. All right, now this one's from Juvia's Place. I think that this particular one is a little bit newer formula, so they have a whole bunch of these that look exactly like this. This one, however, is like a sort of shiny version of it, and it is a lot easier to sheer out. This, in my opinion, is a much better formula than the original formula, which is just too hard for me to wear. They have like this exact same color, but it is just solid, pigment, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. It's clown cheeks, right? I'm not into that. This one actually has this sheen to it instead of being matte, and it's still super pigmented, but you can sheer this out. Like, I mean, you saw how little I used. I think I would need to use, generally speaking, I need to use even less of it. But if you want that bubblegum pink and you want it in something with a little bit of sheen and something that is in liquid form, this is the best one that I have found. I really, really like this one, especially for the price. Juvia's Place is going to be cheaper than a lot of the other higher end brands that might have something sort of similar to this. This one's fun. If you're really doing like that sort of bubblegummy, fun, pink, fresh look, and you want cool tones, this one's, I really like this. This is fun. This is a good one to have in my collection. So in many, many videos, this is what you see me wearing. This is one of my absolute favorite, fun, cooler toned blushes. This actually has a bit of a gold reflect in it, so it's not totally cool toned, but it reads as this beautiful sort of, it's just a beautiful, cooler, medium toned pink on me. And I'm sure on some people this would be pretty cool toned. On me, as you can see, everything just warms right. It has to be dead cool before it doesn't look just a tad bit warm on me. It's really annoying. That's why I'm making this video, is because I'm going to try to help you guys who have the same problem find some other options, or ones that even if that happens, it still looks really good. This one is like highlighter and blush in one. It is just, it's Valentino. It's so pretty. It's expensive, but it is, I don't feel like I got ripped off, because this is literally one of my favorite blushes to reach for pretty much any look that's going to be on the cooler or more neutral side. Unless I'm doing a warm look, then I won't reach for it, but otherwise this is a beautiful blush. It's a beautiful formula. It's got the highlighting part of it does not pick up texture. It's elevated, gorgeous. It looks high end, it feels high end, and even the packaging is high end. I really, really enjoy this. If I were to say out of all of these blushes, this is one of my absolute favorite ones. This one often goes on vacation with me too, if there's going to be like going out at night, or if I have enough room for something fun, it's always this one. So really, really love this. Now, one that is super similar but is totally cheap, it's got a little more reflect, but it does have that sort of a little bit golden-y reflect, and you can see it is actually a little more purple than that one. I don't know, it's a little more purple. This one, for whatever reason, you can see how purple this looks with a sheen, and it's Essence, so I think it's like $5 or $6. I don't know what it is now, but these are really economical. They're beautiful. This one is really the only one that leans cool in their whole collection, which is unfortunate. I wish they had more options. I swear all of the other ones, I think there's 5 or 6 other colors. As far as I can tell, they're all kind of the same color. This one is one that has a bit of a mauvey purple tone to it, except for when I put it on my face. And when you can see that. Even so, I still think it's really, really pretty. If you're looking for something cool leaning, but more medium, $5-6. This is pretty similar to that Valentino, not as refined. Doesn't have, it's got reflect, but it doesn't have the same, I don't know, it's very hard to describe, but the difference in the reflex, one looks expensive and one doesn't look as expensive, but it's still nice. So I don't know, if you're really liking that Valentino, but you're like, I'm not spending that kind of money on a friggin' blush, right? This is a good sort of, I wouldn't say it's a dupe, but it's a substitute for it, and it's really nice all on its own. So this is a good sort of medium mauve color, and you can't beat the price. So definitely recommend that too. Now, a couple of my favorites are from Flower Nose. They sometimes go by other things on Amazon. I don't know if they're resellers or what, but if you search Flower Nose, or you search, Strawberry Rococo or Swan Ballet, you'll be able to find them. However, I think they've moved on and they are starting to make other lines. These are a little harder to find. However, they're going to last you forever if you can find them, and they're some of my favorite sort of everyday blushes. So I'm going to start with, this was my very first introduction into this. This is the Strawberry Rococo 04, and this is just this perfect, like, I think this is my natural sort of blush color. This is an everyday pink that I can definitely wear. It's definitely medium pink. I'm not going to say this is super cool pink. The other one is. Just a nice, solid, really silky, great blush formula. I really, really like this formula. They come all embossed. I've already used enough that you can't see the embossing anymore, but really beautiful packaging. This is going to last forever. I mean, there's just a ton of blush in there, and really nice, light, natural colors, but not so light that they don't actually show up on your skin. It's the one that goes on trips with me. It's my everyday, I don't have to think about it, that's always going to look good kind of pink. So highly recommend this. Now, I wanted an actual cool version of the same thing, so I finally found in their Swan Ballet collection this one. It's pretty pink. This is still cheaper than like a Dior, but you're getting into that sort of territory. It's not as bubblegum pink as it kind of looks here. As you can see when you put it on, it is buildable, but I find that this truly is sort of the cooler version of the Strawberry Rococo one, and this one's 03, and it's another good one. You'll have to do a little searching online to find these. They probably still have them at the actual Flower Nose website, but they definitely, like, they start discontinuing and moving on to their next series, and then they become a little harder to find, and then you got to go search for them on Amazon. At any rate, I think it's worth it. These are going to last forever, and they are like just good, solid standbys, not too dark. These are not going to be, they're going to look real light, I think, on anybody with more than like a medium skin tone. So I can definitely say that. But if you are super fair and you're cool toned, these are perfect. These are just sort of like everyday. Back to Valentino. This is sort of interesting. Well, so as we're going to be, going towards the end of this, I like this formula so much that I went back and I was like, I gotta find something else that is gonna read cool enough for me to wear. All of their other stuff is pretty warm. I mean, this is standard. They actually have quite a few different ones of these, but they're all too warm for me. Beautiful reds and oranges and, pinks, but nothing even cool leaning. So I saw this and I was like, is that brown? It's kind of brown. And it is very, very dark, but when you really swatch it, it's purple. It's a lot like that iconic London one. It's like the exact same color, but this is the powder version. Now, what I will say about this is something that dark in this powder form, it's not like a dusty powder. It's a little bit emollient. It's hard to use, and you'll see me struggling. I gotta shear it out. This also is really nice to use as sort of a contour if you are going for a cool toned but darker blush look. So this totally works that way, but it is, I mean, buyer beware. It is harder to use if you are very fair. Now, if you are dark skinned but cool toned, this is going to be gorgeous on you. This is going to be perfect. You're going to love this. So it definitely has its use. I'm not returning it. I just like having it, I think. And these are like little jewel boxes. Plus the formula is super nice. Not quite balmy, but it's definitely got more of a little bit of there's something holding it together more. It's not powdery. So you do have to kind of, I mean, you could really just put this on with your fingers instead of a brush if you wanted to, because this looks like it's a pretty good way to kind of work it in and shear it out. So sort of an interesting, I wouldn't necessarily say you got to pick this one up, but if you are interested, they do have another cool toned one. It's just real dark. So if you're interested, that is number 11. The other one was 03. I think I forgot to mention it, but I'm sure I put it up in editing. Now, one of my absolute favorite ones, and I have mentioned this before, it's the newer Revlon Gel Serum Blush. I did not like their foundation that was this same kind of line, the sort of gel serum line. That one I actually don't like at all. It looks like garbage on my skin. This is one of my absolute favorite of the liquid blushes. So this gel really, really works out so nice and light. I mean, you can get it to where you almost can't see it. And some people, that's their complaint, is that, you know, it doesn't have enough color. Well, again, it's me. I'm like, yes, I want something buildable that does not have too much color at first. And so if I want something, if I'm doing like a glass skin look and I want something really natural, but I'm staying cool, this is what I'm gonna reach for. And sometimes if I have over mattified my face and I'm just looking dry and kind of not really crusty, but maybe, I'll put a bunch of spray moisturizer on my face and then I will work this in on top of it to get this very natural, just like flushed, like maybe I just worked out kind of skin look. I use it to fix other looks a lot of times, and I use it for everyday looks and very, very sort of just want it to look like good, healthy, rosy skin. And it's a little weird, but this looks like kind of medium rose to me. It looks a little bit warm, but when you actually put it on your skin and you squeeze it out, it is a cool purple. So it is actually a cool mauve, which I was shocked. When this showed up, I was like, oh no, it's gonna be, oh, it's not cool. Because it looked cool online. It is cool. So I can definitely recommend this one as a truly cool, nice, very, very sheer cheek tint. This is gorgeous. Real easy to work with. This one I have thoughts about. So I absolutely love RMS. This was, I think, my first RMS purchase. This is absolutely gorgeous. I love the way this looks. I mean, you can see how this looks in the pan. It is very purple, right? It looks very cool to medium purple, and it's got this gorgeous sheen. Why it looks warm on my face, I do not know, but I wanted to mention this one because maybe if you're not as fair as me, this is a good option for you. I think it's pretty either way, but I would not say that this one wears cool on me. And I think that probably a lot of people like me bought this thinking it was going to be cool because it looks cool. Now I am noticing just in the mirror here, on the sides, I don't know if you can see that, that's more what it looks like. What the actual bleed out color, I think the reflect must be cool, but the actual base is a sort of a cranberry almost. And that's more how it reads on my face. It is still gorgeous, but this is both a recommendation and a warning that if you are getting this thinking that looks super cool, it's not. It does not look cool toned on your face, on somebody like me's face. It is, however, still really, really beautiful. I don't regret getting it. I wish it looked like this though. So I'm hoping that they will someday come out with a really, really like truly cool toned version of this, because this formula is gorgeous. If you want that watercolor, a little bit of sheen, it just looks so flattering and natural and pretty, and it's just, oh, it's so pretty. I don't quite know what to say. It's one of those things, sometimes you run into a formula like, I just like that. I really do. And I like working with it, and it's really pretty. And I mean, that's how I feel about these RMS blushes. They're not cheap, and I'm just waiting for a real cool toned one to come out, because this one sort of faked me out. It's so pretty. All right. Okay, we got through all of them. I actually have more, but these are the ones that I know that you can still find and that I actually wear all the time. These are my favorites. There are a lot of just sort of mid-range ones that are just purple or pink, like, just so you know, stuff like this where you can get a little bit of everything, and black. You know, these are all good blushes. They're fine. Just search purple blush or pink blush on Amazon and it's going to bring up a million of these. I have ordered a million of these. These two from ROM, and these are all good. They're very light on the pigment and they're all kind of the same. So if you want to give those a try, they're fine. I don't find them to be what I actually reach for to wear. They're too purple and too pink and a bit chalky looking on my skin. So if that's what you're going for, you can, any of these are gonna work. So I'm not gonna like, you know, do a whole thing on them. They're all kind of the same. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay, but we got through all of my absolute favorites. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you have any suggestions, if you have some of your favorite like purples, pinks, cool tones, like your ride or dies, let me know. I am super curious if they're some of the ones that I mentioned or if you have some other ones that I can go check out, because obviously I like makeup and I love trying some of your suggestions. Okay, if you haven't subscribed, I would sure appreciate if you would go ahead and do that, as it really helps my channel to grow, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Okay, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.